The topic of this section is Ethernet and IEEE 802.3. We will briefly introduce these two protocols in this section. On MAC sublayer, there are two different protocols, DIX, which is the early version of Ethernet, and IEEE 802.3. DIX was introduced first and was most widely used, whereas IEEE 802.3 was introduced later. It is not so widely used due to the de facto DIX standard and abundance of available hardware. Although they have different names, they are close enough that it makes little difference. These two protocols are slightly different. For the frame head, the differences are the preamble field and the type field. The first difference is the preamble field. In Ethernet head, it has a preamble of 8 bytes, each with the bit pattern 10101010 for synchronization between the sender and the receiver. In IEEE 802.3, it starts with a preamble of 7 bytes and a start of frame byte, SOF, containing 10101011 to denote the start of a frame, and it is useful for compatibility with 802.4 and 802.5. The other difference is the type field in Ethernet, which is used as the length field in IEEE 802.3. We will talk about it a bit later. The frame header includes two addresses, destination address and the source address. They are 6-byte MAC addresses. There are different types of MAC address. Ordinary address with the high order bit value 0. Multicast address with the high order bit value 1. Broadcast address with all bits with value 1. There are also local address and a global address. The local MAC address is assigned by local network administrator, whereas global address is assigned by IEEE to ensure worldwide uniqueness. MAC address has 6 bytes, which is 48 bits. These bits are divided into two components, 24-bit manufacturer ID and the 24-bit network interface card ID, also called as NIC ID. For a given MAC address, we can easily find out the manufacturer for the device. The type or length field is the other difference between Ethernet and IEEE 802.3 protocol. In DIX, the type field specifies which network layer protocol to give the frame to for supporting multi-protocols at network layer. In IEEE 802.3, the length field is the length of the data field. These two fields have the same position and the same byte number. How to distinguish them? Any number in the field less than or equal to 1536 can be interpreted as length, and any number greater than 1536 can be interpreted as type. The last field in the frame head is the data field. The length of the data field should be less than or equal to 1500 bytes. Ethernet requires that valid frames must be at least 64 bytes long. Keeping a minimum frame length will result in the sender being able to detect if a collision has occurred by forcing the transmission to take more than 2 tau in time, in which tau is the propagation time. If the data portion of a frame is less than 36 bytes, the padding field is used to fill up the frame to the minimum size. That's it for this section. Thank you.